Let's talk about the stranger that lives inside all of us. You know, those hidden parts of our personality that can make us do things that feel, well, not like us at all. We're going to dive deep into one of the most powerful emotions, envy, and see how it connects to what the famous psychiatrist Carl Jung called the shadow self. We're going to figure out why that sudden, regrettable comment you made might not have been you, but a different part of you taking the wheel. Come on, you know the feeling, right? That hot flash of bitterness or anger where you just lash out and it feels weird. It doesn't feel like you. And then afterward, you're just standing there thinking, what on earth just happened? Why did I do that? And that question right there, that's the key. It's a huge clue that there's a part of us operating totally outside of our conscious control. It's like there's another person lurking just beneath the surface of the carefully crafted identity we show the world. So this brings us to this brilliant idea from Carl Jung, the shadow self. Picture your personality like an iceberg. The little tip that everyone sees sticking out of the water, that's your ego. That's the you think you are. But the massive, gigantic chunk of ice hidden underneath, that's your unconscious. And a huge part of that hidden world is the shadow. It's basically a storage container for everything we don't like about ourselves. So what kind of stuff do we cram down there into the darkness? Well, all the things that we, or society, have decided are unacceptable. We're talking raw aggression, those weird thoughts you'd never say out loud, really shameful memories, and desires that just don't fit the image of the good person we're trying to be. We don't actually get rid of them. We just hide them from ourselves. But here's the catch, right? Just because you shove something into a dark basement doesn't mean it goes away. It always finds a way to get out. And more often than not, it comes out when we're looking at other people. This happens through a fascinating process called social projection. Our minds are incredibly sneaky. To avoid facing our own hidden flaws, we just project them onto someone else. We start seeing our own unacknowledged issues, but magnified in the people all around us. So it's basically this two-step mental judo move. First, you reject something about yourself. You tell yourself, I am not an arrogant person. Then, step 2, you project it. All of a sudden, you become hyper-aware of how unbelievably arrogant your boss or your friend is being. It's your brain's way of dealing with the issue from a safe distance. Let me give you a really powerful, real-world example of this. Picture a 7-year-old kid who convinces his little brother to run away from home. They get their bags packed, they're sneaking out, but then the older brother just panics. He gets this jolt of, oh no, this is wrong. But instead of owning it, his ego flips the script. He runs to his mom and yells, my brother is running away. Bam. Just like that, he's projected all the wrongness onto his sibling, and he's turned himself from the bad guy into the hero. That's the shadow at work. And that whole idea of projection, it sets the stage perfectly for one of the most powerful and uncomfortable shadow emotions there is, envy. It's a perfect case study for how these hidden parts of us really operate. So what is envy really? It's so much more than just wanting what someone else has. It's the pain you feel when you see them get it. The heart of it is this painful social comparison that shines a big, bright spotlight on what you feel you're lacking. And hey, let's get one thing straight, because people mix this up all the time. Envy is not jealousy. It's simple, really. Envy is a two-person situation. I want what you have. Jealousy is a three-person drama. I'm scared I'm going to lose you to them. Totally different things. So what actually flips that envy switch? Well, research shows it's usually a mix of 3 key things. First, you've got that upward comparison, obviously. But then it has to be in an area that you actually care about. You probably don't envy a world champion chess player if you don't play chess. You envy the person who got the promotion you wanted. And third, and this is the real kicker, we feel it most intensely towards people who are similar to us. Our peers, our friends, that's when it really stings. You know, this isn't some new idea. The philosopher Francis Bacon absolutely nailed it centuries ago. Without comparison, envy just can't exist. It's the fuel for the fire, that little thought in the back of your head that says, that could have been me. That's what gives envy all its power. But here's where things get really, really interesting. Feeling that sting of envy isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, research shows it's more like a fork in the road. It can lead to 2 completely different destinations. And this distinction is absolutely critical. On one path, you have what's called benign envy. This is the version that actually motivates you. You see your friend run a marathon and it sparks something in you. You think, wow, I want to do that, and you start training. It's a constructive push to level yourself up.
But the other path, that's malicious envy, and that's the destructive one. It's not about lifting yourself up, it's about wanting to see the other person fall. So what pushes us down one path instead of the other? It really all comes down to how we interpret the situation. If we think the other person's success is undeserved, like they cheated or just got lucky, we're way more likely to feel that nasty, malicious envy. But if we believe we have some control, that we could achieve the same thing with hard work, we lean towards the good kind, the benign envy. And get this, how they act about their success matters too. If someone's arrogant about it, that triggers our worst impulses. But if they show authentic pride, it can actually inspire us. And this isn't just a personal feeling. When malicious envy gets going on a massive scale, it can become a real cultural force. You see this in what's called tall poppy syndrome, this bizarre tendency in some cultures to attack, criticize, and cut down the most successful people, all driven by this collective, destructive need to bring them back to everyone else's level. So, faced with all these powerful, hidden forces bubbling away inside us, what are we supposed to do? How do we stop being a puppet to our own unconscious reactions? Well, this brings us right back to Jung's solution. You have to turn around and face the shadow. And here is probably the most important thing to understand. The goal isn't to destroy your shadow. You can't. The real goal is to integrate it. Jung's great insight was that true growth comes from making the unconscious conscious. This whole process of uncovering and accepting these rejected parts of ourselves, it's called shadow work. So how do you actually do it? Well, it all starts with just paying attention. Start noticing your triggers. What are the things that cause that instant gut-level reaction of anger or envy or judgment? Then, instead of just running with that reaction, you pause. You have to ask yourself, hold on, why am I reacting so strongly? What is this really about? And finally, you integrate what you find. You accept that, yes, this shadow part is in you, and then you try to find a healthy way to bring its energy into your life. That's how raw aggression can become healthy ambition, or how envy can become fuel for your own success. And look, this isn't just some navel-gazing self-help exercise. Jung really believed that this intensely personal work has a ripple effect out in the world, because when we stop projecting our own darkness onto other people, we start to heal not only ourselves, but our relationships, our families, even our communities. So that leaves us with one final big question. What part of your shadow are you ready to meet?